We all have our own mental issues. We all have our problems. I get that. But when you are going to be putting yourself out there in a way to say, hey, I'm going to run this country, you got to come correct.
Pascal, you are now rocking
Kanye West. Kanye West is running for president, apparently. We got to talk about all this stuff. He just had a campaign where he launched his presidential campaign in South Carolina. Tom, let's talk about this a little bit.
Kanye held a campaign event in South Carolina last night where he, among other things, said Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She had them work for other white people. He at one point talked about how he and Kim Kardashian had considered getting an abortion for their child.
Yeah.
At which point he started to break down crying. He got into it a little bit with people in the crowd that were calling him out on stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I guess it's kind of what you would expect a Kanye campaign event to be, but not your normal campaign event.
Yeah. And here's the thing. I do have a little bit of a video clip that I want to pull up here right quick of the actual campaign, because I know that some people didn't get to actually see this campaign. So we're going to pull up a little bit. There is a video that is, I think, pretty damn hilarious. Has to do with Kanye West talking about the Harriet Tubman speech.
So that's a Stephen move. When Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people.
Y'all, we leaving right now.
It's so hilarious. I love that clip because it is everything that I feel like most black people that are for Kanye automatically got turned off right when he said that. Now let me say something real quick in regards to the Harriet Tubman comment or statement that he made. Okay, now here it is. During that time, there were a lot of slaves that went through the Underground Railroad. Of course, shout out to Harriet Tubman. Without her, there wouldn't have been freed slaves at that time. Now, here's the other thing: you got to put into consideration that there weren't as many black-owned businesses during that time. So anytime a slave became free, yes, they were going and working for white people, of course, because there were not any work. There wasn't any work out there that was owned by black owners and household like homeowners, etc. But one of the things that they were able to do was be able to work, but get paid for their work, not being just enslaved, beaten, raped, destroyed because of being under the laws of slavery. All right. So when he said that, he has it factually totally effed up and wrong. OK, so what he was saying doesn't really apply to what really went down. Of course, if the situation was different and there were black owned businesses in the North at that time, I guarantee you there would be a lot more freed slaves or runaway slaves going there, earning their pay, working with black owned businesses. But those things did not exist as much during that time. So what are you going to do? What are they going to do to be able to survive and make money and live? They work. They do exactly what they were doing, but they are now actually being paid for what they do, respectfully, to a certain extent. Okay, we can talk about respectfully till we're blue in the face. Okay, now the other thing I want to point out here really quick with Kanye is that we are in a place right now where he's got a platform. People are eating his stuff up. People are going, oh, wow, is he running? Is he not running? Is he running? Is he not running? Obviously, he is running, or he is trying to run. His whole speech was just a plethora and a wild ride of emotions and thoughts. And I know Jack has some of the laundry list of things that he was saying that we should be able to have and shouldn't have. And there's some crazy things that he did say in regards to his speech. And so I'm going to throw it over to Jack before I go and tie this thing up with a bow. Go ahead, Jackie Buck.
Yeah, I mean, he made some campaign promises.
He suggests $1 million for new mothers to discourage abortion. So that's interesting. I don't know where that money would come from, but everybody that has a baby gets $1 million.
Yep, there we go.
West said that he believes abortion should be legal. Financial incentives to help struggling mothers could be a way to discourage the practice by giving everybody $1 million. So, yeah, I didn't see too many other things that he was promising, but that was one of his big points. So
yes. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are, there's a lot of black conservatives out there that do believe that abortion should be illegal, that it should not be allowed and all that. And that's something that there's a lot of people out there. There's a lot of conservatives that are pro-life as well, regardless. But the thing that I'm trying to say here is that, and he does talk about, him sitting there saying, I almost killed my daughter because of the option of abortion. I was entertaining the idea of abortion. I was going to do it. Kim stood in front of me and blocked, like basically protected our child, protected North, because she was not going to do said act. She was not going to have an abortion. She was not okay with it. And he said, it's a blessing. I'm so blessed that she stood in front of our baby and protected our baby, because North would not exist if she did that, if she didn't do that. Then also he went into this whole conversation about his father and how his father wanted him to be aborted and how there would be no Kanye West if he was aborted, etc. On and on and on. Now, the thing is that he was a ball of everything. He was emotional. He was all over the place. He had 2020 shaved into the back of his head. There was just a lot going on. He was wearing a bulletproof vest, as you saw in the video. Now, here's the thing. My thing is this: the more we entertain him, the more he's going to be doing more crazy stunts like this. Mm-hmm. The thing is that if we keep putting ourselves out here and we keep putting like right now, we shouldn't even be talking about this, honestly. But the thing is that, let's be real. It is news. It is what's going on right now. But I think that if we keep batting an eye towards him, if we keep putting the spotlight and the attention towards him, he's going to think that what he's doing is right, and that he's going to continue to do the crazy stuff that he's doing right now. Clearly, the man is not with us. He is clearly unhinged. He is clearly not on his meds. He is clearly not practicing whatever he's trying to do in regards to mental health. And that's it. I just don't think that we should be giving him the platform in which that he has and entertaining it, period. Like, the other thing I want to point out is that he had a presidential campaign and them mother lover didn't even have a microphone. Okay? That's all I'm going to say too. He didn't have a microphone. Nobody heard anything he said. Barely. He had a nice sized room full of people and he didn't have a microphone? And this is supposed to be your presidential campaign? I'm just saying, for the people who were in there that were going, yeah, West 2020, Kanye 2020, I feel like he lost a good portion of that room with his emotional, manic monologue that he gave. What do you guys think?
So let me add, and before he went to this rally, he told a blogger, I guess Caitlyn Jenner is no longer having the option even to be in Kanye's thoughts, nor is the Tidball lady, because Kanye wants Jay-Z to be his running mate.
Get out. Are you serious? Yes. Woo! Okay, I'm done. Yeah. Wow.
And for how Kanye West landed on him as the tap in the first place for his position, but it sounds like it came down to a coincidence of initials. So, he's really, he's getting signs, he says. So this is really a God-driven campaign. And so everything that he's saying is all for Jesus.
Well, so here's the thing. Everybody can sit there and say that their campaign or their moves or whatever they're doing, their public You know, those things that look like they're for publicity, and they can say it's all in the name of Jesus. I get it. Like, there's plenty of people that can do that and ride behind it. And you know, somebody, Jake from State Farm, just said, you know, well, look who is our president now. I mean, whether you believe it or not, Jake from State Farm has a point. You know, we do have somebody in the office that is, you know, is definitely different. I'll just say that, definitely on a little bit different. Marches to the beat of his own little drummer, and I get that. But at the same time, you can see Kanye is not fully right. And there's a lot of things that he has, like a lot of the opinions and the things that he wants to move forward. You can see that he hasn't fully had them thought out properly. They're not fully thought out thoughts. It's almost as if he's shooting from the hip, saying what he wants to say without any background, without anything to back it up. You know, Tom, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you entirely. I don't like talking about Kanye that much. I mean, I realize it's the news for the day. I mean, that's what's trending on Twitter. That's what people are talking about. I watched a little bit of it last night. I saw where he started crying. And I mean, it made me physically feel sick to my stomach. I mean, it's watching a guy struggle with mental illness and being put in a situation that if he had people around him that cared about him, they would not let him be in that situation. It's clear to me he doesn't have anybody in his inner circle anymore that has his best interest at heart. He's fallen into that Kardashian family who are just vampires who just thrive on fame. They're the last people he should have ever fallen in with, the Kardashians. Mm-hmm. And I just can't. I mean, I know he's Kanye West, and I know he's you know, he can do what he wants. But I mean, there aren't people around him that aren't like, hey, you're in the throes of like really serious mental illness right now. You need real help.
No, the thing is that, just to go off of what you were saying now, who's to say that Kim Kardashian is literally telling him, babe, are you sure you want to do this? Stop. Please don't do this. Blah, blah, blah. What if, because as much as we sit here and say, you know, we all have our opinions about the Kardashians. We all do. Okay. Whether they are vampires or not, they could be the nicest people in the world. I'm playing devil's advocate right now. Okay. But who's to say that Kim Kardashian is turning to him being like, hey, babe, I don't think you should be doing this. I don't think it's a good idea right now. You know, Kanye is going to do what Kanye wants to do. It's clear that he is his own independent thinker. He wants to do whatever he wants. And I don't think Kim or that family has any say. Whether they think that he is having a spell, you know, or not. They don't have any say in what he wants to do. He is his own free person. And if he wants to do a campaign, he gonna do it. You know, Kim could sit there all day long sitting there, babe, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. And he's going to be like, I'm going to do it. I don't care what you think. Because I'm Kanye and I do dope things. That's literally what he thinks in his head. It's Kanye we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? His ego is very, very big. You know, it's massive. So I'm not sitting here saying, like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, we must defend the Kardashians. Hell no. But all I'm saying is that who's to say what's really going on behind closed doors between Kim and Kanye? She could literally be telling him, please don't do this right now. Let's get things on point. That's what I'll say about that.
And I'm not just talking about the Kardashians, though. I'm talking about his friends, everybody. I mean, if I had a friend, and you know, I mean, we all have friends that have mental illness. We all have friends that go through it sometimes. But you hope, I mean, you hope that a person that has mental illness like that has a strong support base around them that'll say, hey, this president thing, you don't need this right now. You're not well. And you know, it's not, I'm not trying to, like, you know, I'm trying to be as diplomatic about this as possible. But I mean, I mean, with the quarantine shutdown and all the stuff going on right now, people are having spells of mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
And you need people around you to be like, to help you out. And I just don't feel like he has anyone around him that's helping him out. I think people are like, hey, I can help Kanye run for president and make a buck off it. Or, oh, this will be a great publicity stunt for him. I mean, it just seems sick. It seems exploitive to him. And I know he's Kanye. I know he has a huge ego. I know he calls his own shots. I mean, there isn't anybody around him. They just take him aside and be like, dude, just maybe take a year off. Take a year off, get your head right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, here it is. Jake from State Farm just said something that I thought was a very good point, though. It is a very good point. He said, Jake said, well, they told Kanye he couldn't be a producer. Then they told him he couldn't be a rapper. And then they told him he couldn't be a fashion designer. And honestly, he's destroyed every single one of those things. He's crushed every single one of those things. So for people to sit there maybe and say, hey, he can't be president. He's probably he's hell bent on it, I'm sure. Trying to say, hey, I could prove everybody otherwise. I could be the man who takes over and runs this country. You know what I'm saying? And be the leader of this free world. I mean, that could be his ongoing motivation. That could be the thing that gets him up in the morning, proving everyone otherwise.
Yeah. I'm seeing people in the chat here trying to compare Kanye West to Joe Biden, and I got to take exception with that. I mean, Joe Biden may be old and maybe he gets confused a few times. We haven't seen Joe Biden behave the way that Kanye West did last night. It's apples and oranges. I mean, you haven't seen Joe Biden go out and have a full meltdown crying fit at a campaign event. This is a totally different thing.
Even so,
I mean, Biden may not be as sharp as he once was, but he was always a gaffe machine. There's a difference.
True. But the other thing I'll say about that, too, just to piggyback on what you said, Tom, is that not only, he's a gaffe machine for sure. And he might be slowly or quickly slipping into, senility for sure. But one thing that he does have for sure is that he has things to back up the things that he's trying to push out there. He has the stuff like when he's like, oh, we want to do $1 trillion towards X, Y, and Z. We're going to do this movement. We're going to do this. We're going to do this with taxes. He has things that back those things up. Kanye is just saying $1 million to everybody who has a baby. You know what I'm saying? Kanye is saying everybody should be able to own a gun. At one point said something along the lines of, kids are at 6 years old are learning how to shoot a gun. Shooting guns are fun. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I mean, his whole speech was just all over the place with nothing to back it up, just personal experiences. And if he was able to come up with those things and back them up with logical plans, I think people would think differently about him. But right now, it was like he was having what's the word? Like a cathartic moment of expression in a room that felt like a sanctuary in a way, where he was just talking. Does that make sense? Like he felt like it was almost like they were at a campfire and he was just expressing his feelings about everything that's going on, rather than, hey, these are the things that I really want to do with this country, and here's the things I have to back it up. Here's my plans. Here they are. Nah, he didn't do that. He was just breaking down and crying, and all of his fans who were there just to be there, I don't know if they're really there in support of him like that. I'm saying in his presidential aspirations. They were there just to kind of be like, oh, it's okay, Kanye. A lot of them were saying that, like patting him on the back in a way, verbally. There were some people in there as well that were trying to throw like rebuttal at him, like trying to say when he was saying, oh, yeah, there should only be an option A. There should only be a plan A. There should not be a plan B in regards to abortion, in regards to pro-choice or pro-life. He was like, there should only be an option A. That's it. And there were some people that were trying to throw back at him, basically trying to say, but what about Why would you say that when these things happen? And he was ignoring every single one of them. He just kept on talking. So there's a lot with that situation that clearly shows that he is not fully 110% right. He hasn't been right, as we all know, since his mother passed. You know, the tragic, unfortunate passing of his mother. He hasn't been right since then. He's been hospitalized against his will. He's been, drugged, because of his mental illness, because of the things that he has going on with himself, which is obviously very, very terrible. And you can see clearly that he is going through a moment right now. And if he would just actually listen to the people that are around him, which I hope there are people around him trying to have this conversation with him, I hope that he would actually listen to him and maybe bow out. And Jake from State Farm is sitting here saying none of us is right. You're right. None of us is, none of us are no one is mentally stable. Nobody is mentally even. We all have our own mental issues. We all have our problems. I get that. But when you are going to be putting yourself out there in a way to say, hey, I'm going to run this country, you got to come correct. You got to come knowing that you're balanced. There's got to be proof. You got to show that you are mentally stable. If you have a history of being mentally unstable, and then you say, I'm going to run for president, you got to prove everything. You got to show as much as your cards out on the table to prove that you are mentally stable. That's important. But right now, Kanye's not showing that at all, y'all. He's showing that he's not mentally right. Now, here's the thing. I'll say this too. He could very well be mentally stable right now. This could be his clearest moment on earth. He could be totally 110% mentally stable for his version. But what the rest of the world is seeing, we're not seeing that. He needs to come at it in a different way if he's going to really run. He can't just come out and just fire off at the mouth like birdshot and be all over the place. He's got to be more concise. He needs to be a sniper with this thing and say exactly what he wants to do. Here are the plans, and that's it. Start with a microphone, too, when you're going to do a presidential campaign. You see what I'm saying? Like, just come correct.
Pascal, you are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.